Hello everyone and welcome back to Bogart on Movies. As usual, we're airing on WXEL TV right here in Palm Beach County. This week we've got a couple of really fun movies for you, plus one that looks back on a true music phenomenon. For my classic pick, we'll look at a film that's in everyone's top 5 of all time, Citizen Kane. And my real pick this week is a movie that introduced us to one of the most iconic movie characters and one of the most well-known movie themes ever. Da-da-da-da. Get it? We'll also have Carla's Cant Be Pics and your emails, so let's get going. First up, a movie that I thought was just a blast. It stars 4 giants, Michael Douglas, Bobby D, Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Kline, Oscar winners all in the ensemble comedy Las Vegas.
Hello.
Hey, it's Billy.
Billy!
How you doing? What's going on? I got something important here, all right? I'm getting married.
What?
Wow.
To that young lady who's half your age?
Hey, wait a minute. She's almost 32.
I have a hemorrhoid that's almost 32.
So we're gonna have a bachelor party in Vegas.
I can't smoke, drink, eat salt, or stay out past 9, but...
All right, I love it.
Pop, it's sweltering in here. Maybe I should just stay home.
No, you don't have to do that.
Your only job is to relax.
What the hell are you doing here?
Billy is tying the knot in Vegas.
If you think I'm going to Vegas from that selfish bastard, you're dumber than that hat.
Welcome to Las Vegas.
Relax. It's not like you invented it.
How many times I got to say I'm sorry?
You can't say it enough.
So
I
you
can
boys said it was-
Hey, knock it off!
I'm gonna go find some damn water and take all my damn pills. Then we're gonna get this damn party started.
It's this man's bachelor party!
You know who's supposed to be staying here this weekend?
50. P50?
No, 50.
50 people in there?
50 Cent. 50. Curtis Jackson, the rapper.
Oh, yeah, from the Jackson 5.
It's very funny. This movie is aimed right at baby boomers, just like you and me. Someone called it a hangover for the older set, but it's better than that. The guys are just terrific, and Oscar winner Mary Steenburgen is wonderful as the transplanted lounge singer. Director John Turteltaub really lets these superstars do their thing, and they do not disappoint.
In every bar. I want all of you to get in trouble.
Which one of you is Sam Harris?
You guys are the best thing ever happened to me.
Tonight, we're gonna party like it's 1959.
Bring out the bottles!
I'm getting married. She's your age.
You must be rich.
Yeah, but you should be talking to me. Come on.
Hey, buddy, maybe I had too much to drink, huh?
If I want your opinion, I'll just beat it out of you.
No one calls us names except
for us.
It's gonna be poppin'.
I owe you this one.
Whoa! Wow!
We got a couple of unresolved issues.
Bring out the bottles!
Oh, I've been this hungover in 30 years. Everything's spinning. Oh, no.
Look, this is no Oscar winner, but if you're over 50 and want to have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun at the movies, this is it. Pure entertainment for the AARP set, and it really works. This over 50 guy gives it a 4. Now we move on to another funny movie. Well, it's not so much a movie as it is a bunch of skits strung together. But I gotta tell you, it's funny. It's Johnny Knoxville in Bad Grandpa.
Grandpa, this thing doesn't work.
Oh, God.
Nothing.
Oh! Ow! Ah!
I'm hungry.
Follow my lead.
You okay, Grandpa?
Well, they're gonna take that child away from you.
I'm sorry.
You are sorry. You're sorry as hell.
You're very pretty when you're mad.
Pissing me off.
Thank you for being here today.
What's your stripper stage name?
I look like a stripper?
I'll just call you Cinnamon.
Wanna have some fun?
Yeah.
You're a pretty little girl. You got it?
One of these girls is a grandpa.
Is that weird? We just never seen it, so it's different.
She's my cherry pie. Cool drink of water, such a sweet surprise. Tastes so good, make a grown man cry. Sweet cherry pie, yeah. Sweet cherry
In Knoxville, he of Jackass fame stars as Grandpa Irving Zisman, who's supposed to take his grandson Billy across the country to live with Billy's dad. That's the movie part, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is that each skit is made up of real people's real reactions to the most outrageous setups you've ever seen. Look at that.
This bed's going for a pretty good price.
Is it one of those ones that adjust?
Yes, ma'am, it's really good. It's one of those that kind of sit up where you're watching TV. Yes, here, try to adjust it a little. Whoa! Whoa! Stop! Whoa! Whoa! Stop! Whoa! What? Stop! Stop! Whoa! Stop!
Unplug it!
Oh my God! What are you trying to do to me? Jesus, honey.
Push the little button.
Again, this is not an Oscar winner. In fact, I'm not sure it's even a real movie, but I laughed my butt off. Of course, I'm a sucker for the hidden camera stuff anyway. You can wait until the movie goes on pay-per-view and that'd be fine, but if you want some laughs and aren't looking for the next Gone with the Wind, it's okay to check this one out. Gets 3 stars from me just because the reactions are so darn funny. Oh, and stay for the credits to see how it's all done. Next up, with not a lot to choose from in theaters, I went to pay-per-view for something I was hoping was a bit more substantial. So in that hit or miss category, not yet in theaters, I came across the story of CBGB.
Country and blues.
In New York City.
This club's gonna be different.
Play some real music.
This band is Talking Heads.
We're Blondie.
We're the Ramones.
We're the Jet Boys.
Patti Smith Group.
Lou Reed. You're a rock star.
What does CBGB stand for?
Country, bluegrass, blues.
We have a band.
CBGB gets new customers buying drinks. You get to play for an audience. You might want to consider an exterminator.
Not very country.
Hard to get Conway Twitty down to the Bowery.
You have no idea what's about to happen here.
You gotta spend money to make money.
You're gonna have money to spend money to make money.
We've had some complaints.
I'm not a very patient man, so I suggest you give me what I came here for.
You treat me right, I'll treat you right. How you been, Leslie?
Call me that.
City's cracking down.
Hillel Crystal. Divorced. 2 bankruptcies.
I've been thinking I should start managing some of those bands. I am gonna get them a record deal, and they are gonna be big. These kids have something to say. We really should listen.
You're punks. Anything bad, anything wrong, you want to do it.
What are you doing?
Investing.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We got bills to pay.
You have no vision, Merv.
What happens to the cash at the end of the night?
I put it in the freezer. Why would you save for your dreams? Why not live your dreams? Nobody is gonna like you guys, but I'll have you back.
We got 4 songs. I don't want to walk around with you. I don't want to be tamed.
Anything you want to do?
We're working on something now.
Something positive?
Yeah, it's called I Want to Sniff Some Glue.
The film, of course, is based on the true story of CBGB, the club that musician Hilly Crystal opened in New York in the early 70s as a country/bluegrass/blues club, CBGB. But as it turned out, CBGB became the birthplace of the punk music scene. The cast was pretty good. Alan Rickman as Hilly and a bunch of other young names playing other musicians, and the music is great. Debbie Harry, the Ramones, Talking Heads, Patti Smith, they all started here, and you hear them all, including this.
Go ahead, guys. Anytime.
Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body to the night. Roxanne, you don't have to wear that dress tonight.
Now, I'll say right here that the actors do lip sync everything, but they're not bad, and you do get to hear those great songs. I'll admit the movie doesn't have much of the outrageousness, the craziness, the anguish of the real punk scene. That one would probably be rated X. All the history here was interesting, and the music was great. I enjoyed it, but I'd sure like to see the documentary, the real stuff. Still, it gets a 2.5 from me. So now it's time for my classic pick, and I've got one for you that really you can't say anything more about that hasn't already been said. It's generally recognized as the greatest film ever made, although some, including me, would disagree. It's nonetheless in everyone's top 3 at worst. Its star is also the film's director, co-writer, and one of the true legends of Hollywood. If you haven't guessed by now, it's Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. Here's a look at some of the original trailer. You can hear Welles off camera after introducing the actors in the film one by one. There's this.
Citizen Kane is a modern American story about a man called Kane, Charles Foster Kane. I don't know how to tell you about him. There's so many things to say. I'll turn you over instead to the characters in the picture. As you'll see, they feel very strongly on the subject.
Charles Foster Kane is...
Sure, he started the war. But do you think if it hadn't been for Mr. Kane, the United States would have the Panama Canal?
Charles Foster Kane is nothing more or less than a communist.
Kane, governor. Listen, when the voters of this state and Mrs. Kane learn what I found out about Mr. Kane and a certain little blondie named Susan Alexander, he couldn't be elected dog catcher. I'm going to skin Mr. Charles Foster Kane alive.
I'm going to marry him next week at the White House.
Emily, I hear you've been stepping out with Charlie Kane.
Of course I love him. I gave him $60 million.
Well, of course I love him. He's the richest man in America.
But all the girls say about him at first.
But you know, I can't help but admire him.
He's crazy.
He's wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you'll think about Mr. Kane. I can't imagine. You see, I play the part myself. Well, Kane is a hero and a scoundrel, a no-account and a swell guy, a great lover, a great American citizen, and a dirty dog. It depends on who's talking about him. What's the real truth about Charles Foster Kane? I wish you'd come to this theater when Citizen Kane plays here and decide for yourself.
For those of you who don't know by now, the movie centers on Charles Foster Kane. He's played by Orson Welles, and the character is at least partially based on the life of newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst.
Is that really your idea of how to run a newspaper?
I don't know how to run a newspaper, Mr. Thatcher. I just try everything I can think of.
Charles, you know perfectly well there's not the slightest proof that this armada's off the Jersey
Hello,
coast.
Mr. Bernstein.
Excuse me, Mr.
Can you
Kane.
prove it isn't?
This just
Mr.
came
Bernstein, I'd like you to meet Mr. Thatcher.
I'll just borrow How do you do, Mr. Thatcher?
Leland, Mr. Thatcher, my ex-guardian.
From
We have
Cuba.
no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Enquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
That's fine, Mr. Kane.
Yes, I rather like myself. Send it right away.
I came to see you about this campaign of
Thatcher.
yours. This Enquirer campaign against the Public Transit Company.
Mr. Thatcher, do you know anything we could use against them?
Still the college boy, aren't you?
Oh, no, Mr. Thatcher. I was expelled from college. A lot of colleges, you remember. I remember.
Charles, I think I should remind you of a fact that you seem to have forgotten.
Yes,
That
Mr.
you are
Thatcher.
yourself one of the largest individual
Mr. Thatcher.
stockholders in the Public Transit Company.
The trouble is you don't realize you're talking to two people. As Charles Foster Kane, who owns 82,364 shares of public transit preferred, you see, I do have a general idea of my holdings. I sympathize with you. Charles Foster Kane is a scoundrel. His paper should be run out of town. A committee should be formed to boycott him. You may, if you can form such a committee, put me down for a contribution of $1,000.
My time's
On
too
the other
valuable.
hand,
I'm
I am the
wasting
publisher of the Enquirer. As such, it's my duty, and I'll let you in on a little secret. It's also my pleasure to see to it that decent, hard-working people in this community aren't robbed blind by a pack of money-mad pirates just because they haven't anybody to look after their interests.
Orson Welles. There is so much about this movie, it's impossible to go into all of it. There's Hearst's hatred of the movie and the lengths he went to stop it from being released. There's his banning all advertising for the movie and even the movie studio RKO in his newspapers. There was the big-time beef with powerful gossip columnist Luella Parsons. As for the movie itself, everything about it was revolutionary. The lighting, the sound, the use of camera angles and focus, everything. It's the missing link between silent movies and talkies. Here's what Martin Scorsese told the American Film Institute about Citizen Kane.
Welles did this, and he did it with such conviction and with such brilliance that you began to realize, I see the camera moves, and I began noticing camera movement because he used that wide-angle lens a great deal. And if you use a wider angle lens and you move quick enough, you see the walls speeding past you, you know. And this is what I think Welles brought to cinema, to American cinema particularly, because up to that time, it was the seamless film, in a way. The hidden camera, the camera that you couldn't tell was there. So Welles was the one to really open up the Pandora's box of cameras flying up in the air. In a funny way, I guess, picking up where silent films left off.
Love listening to Marty Scorsese. Anyway, there you have it. It got 9 Oscar nominations, won. Welles with the brilliant Herman Mankiewicz for Best Writing. The cast, including Joseph Cotten, Agnes Moorehead, and Everett Sloane, were terrific, but all merely players in this King's game. Welles' brilliance overshadowed all, and that's as it should be. Give yourself a real treat with this one. Now it's time to dip into the Bogart on Movies mailbox. Reuven in Delray Beach writes, your program is great and it's reminiscent of the Siskel and Ebert movie program, which I used to enjoy very much. Reuven, I was a big fan of Siskel and Ebert, and I take it as a supreme compliment to even be mentioned in the same sentence with either of them. True groundbreakers. Here's a big thumbs up to both of them. Now, Rick in Lake Park writes, I saw on a documentary that your father's speech pattern was the result of caps on his teeth being too big, and he was trying to cover them with his lip. I'm a dentist, and today's technology makes for smaller caps, so we wouldn't have to do that now. Now, Rick, I can't speak to the dental part of your question, but I do know that my father's speech pattern was a result of an injury that happened during World War I. He served on the troop ship, the USS Leviathan, and as the story goes, he was escorting a prisoner to a naval prison in Kittery, Maine, when the guy smashed him in the mouth. The doctors did a lousy job sewing him up, and the result was one of the more distinct voices in filmdom. Remember, you can email me at stevebogart@wxel.org, and be sure to include your name and your hometown. Thanks a lot. Now it's time for Carla's Cant Be Pics, and here's a little history. 1966 is a year to remember for many reasons. Medicare began that year. Cigarette packs began carrying health warnings. The first Star Trek episode was broadcast, and great movies like A Man for All Seasons and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf are produced. None, however, could hold a candle to this week's Cant Be Pic. It's Queen of Blood and starred a very young Dennis Hopper, a very old Basil Rathbone, and John Saxon in one of his more than 200 film and TV roles. This one he'd rather forget.
Queen of Blood. A tantalizing, mystifying enigma.
She's gorged herself of fresh blood. She's a monster. We have a good supply of blood plasma with us. We'll use that to feed her.
And if we run out of plasma, Commander?
By the way, of course, Queen of Blood could not compete with the really big news in 1966. That's when pitcher Sandy Koufax was a holdout in contract negotiations with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now it's time for Steve's Real Hits. Since the beginning of film, from My Father in Casablanca and Gable in Gone with the Wind, actors have defined their characters so well that no one else could ever play them. In the case of my pick this week, it seems as though the starring role was made for this actor. Oh, it was. It's Sylvester Stallone in Rocky.
Rocky, do you believe that America is the land of opportunity?
Yeah.
Apollo Creed does. And he's going to prove it to the whole world by giving an unknown a shot at the title.
I need your help about 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago. You never helped me. You didn't care.
Well, if you wanted help. I say, if you wanted help, why didn't you ask? Why didn't you just ask me, kid?
Look, I asked, but you never heard nothing. Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed. And if I can go that distance, seeing that bell rings and I'm still standing, I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood. Who am I kidding? I ain't even in the guys' league. Wish me luck. I'm gonna need it.
Good luck.
Don't leave town.
We all know the story of Rocky Balboa, the lovable mutt, the quintessential rags to riches feel-good story. Hell, the movie itself is rags to riches. It was made for $950,000 and it's grossed over $250 million. Even the making of the movie is a great story. Stallone wrote it and he wouldn't let it be made unless he could star in it. It was a sleeper hit, 10 Oscar nominations. Director John Avildsen won one, as did the movie, the cast. Stallone, perfect as Rocky, and Burt Young, Talia Shire, Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed were terrific, as was Burgess Meredith, his trainer.
You've been sticking it to me. I want to know how come.
You want to know? I want to know how! Okay, I'm going to tell you. Because you had the talent to become a good fighter. And instead of that, you became a leg breaker. Some cheap, second-rate loan shark.
It's a living?
It's a waste of life.
And how about that music? Joe Frazier, whose actual training regimen, including the carcass scenes and the running up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, had a cameo, as did Stallone's brother Frank, his father, and his first wife. Stallone made 4 more, maybe another on the way, but this one was by far the best. It's a treat. Sly, you did it, baby. So until next week, yo, Adrian! Yo, Adrian! Yo, Adrian!